I want to ask you something you probably haven't been asked before. And it is not how you're feeling, not what you're thinking, not what you want or believe or intend. Here's my question. What is the atmosphere inside you right now? Not the surface, the interior. The quality of the inner life that exists beneath whatever you're presenting to the world, beneath whatever mood today has brought, beneath the goals and the practices and the work, the atmosphere. Because here is the thing. The outer life is not shaped by your actions. It is shaped by your inner world. Not your effort, not your strategy, not even your conscious beliefs. The quality of the inner world, the atmosphere of consciousness, the way awareness holds itself when nothing is performing. That is what determines what can enter your life, what you notice, what you're available for, what reality organizes itself around. And most people have never looked at it. I'm Anca. Welcome back to Lumina Liber, Season 1, The Power of Awareness, Chapter 7, Attitude. Not mindset, not positivity. Something older and more precise than both of those words. Let's go. 7 weeks in for those who are following the series. Something has been building. The practices have been accumulating. And what we're working on today, the inner atmosphere, is the thing that either makes all of it compound or quietly dissolves it. Subscribe if you haven't. And let's start. Before we go into the teaching, I want to say something that might be slightly uncomfortable. Most people doing consciousness work, including, intelligent, committed, genuinely motivated people, spend a significant amount of time managing their inner atmosphere rather than actually inhabiting it. What I mean is this. There is the inner atmosphere you have, and there is the inner atmosphere you perform or aspire to or try to sustain through effort. And these two things are often not the same. And the one that creates is the one that's actually there, not the aspirational one. Not the performed one, the actual one. This is not a critique. It is the most practical thing I can offer you as we open this chapter. Because the work of Chapter 7 is not adding a better attitude on top of an unchanged interior. It is honestly feeling the interior as it actually is, and then learning to shift it from the inside. That requires honesty first, and honesty about the quality of your inner life, the actual atmosphere rather than the intended one. is something most self-development work never asks for. I am asking for it. Let me distinguish attitude from the way the word is usually used. Attitude in common usage means something like mood or disposition or approach, a positive attitude, can-do attitude, an attitude of gratitude. It implies something you choose consciously, maintain through effort, and display toward the world. By attitude, I mean the inner atmosphere of consciousness, the overall quality of how awareness holds itself, not in any particular moment, but as its sustained, habitual, below the surface quality. The interior weather, if you will, that is present whether or not you're paying attention to it. Whether or not you're in a session or a meditation or a good moment. The inner atmosphere you carry into a room before you say a word. The quality of awareness you bring to a conversation before the content begins. The feeling of being you on a Tuesday morning, when nothing special is happening and nothing is performing. That is attitude. And that inner atmosphere is the most fundamental determinant of what manifests in your life. More fundamental than specific thoughts. More fundamental than specific visualizations or affirmations. More fundamental than any particular technique. Because everything else you do, every practice, every assumption, every attention placement is being filtered through that atmosphere. Everything you do is colored by it. And what enters your life must be in resonance with it. A polluted river carries everything downstream into polluted water, regardless of what those things are. A clear river carries everything into clarity. The quality of the medium determines the quality of what it holds. Your inner atmosphere is the medium through which everything else passes. Now, here is the practical implication, and I want to be very specific here, because this is where the principle becomes a daily discipline. The inner atmosphere is not primarily changed by thinking differently. This is crucial to understand. Trying to think your way into a different inner atmosphere, to reason yourself into a better interior quality, is like trying to change the weather by arguing with it. The inner atmosphere is changed from the inside out, through what you consistently attend to, what you feed your attention and time, what you allow to settle into the interior as habitual, which means the content of your daily life, what you read, what you watch, what you listen to, what you spend time with, what conversations you participate in, what you let sit in your awareness before sleep. These are not neutral choices. They are atmosphere building choices. and they are either contributing to the quality of inner life you want to inhabit, or they are diluting it. There is no neutral input. Let me first name what the shift inner atmosphere actually feels like, because most people have touched it briefly and not recognized what it was. You've had moments, perhaps in nature, perhaps a powerful experience, perhaps a rare conversation, where the quality of the interior just settled without effort. A sense of being exactly where you are, without the low-level monitoring, without the reaching towards something better, without the managing of the current reality. Just a quality of okayness, so fundamental it didn't need to be maintained. That is a natural state of consciousness that has found its atmosphere. And it is available as a cultivated, sustained daily life quality, as the base note, as the interior from which you operate most of the time. And when that becomes the base note, whatever enters your life changes, because you are resonant with different things. I want to pause now and ask you something real. What is the actual base note of your inner atmosphere right now? Not what you aspire to. What's actually there on a normal day when nothing is performing? Take a moment with that and feel it rather than answer it. And drop it in the comments. Not the ideal version, the honest one. Even one word. Because this community, our community, is one of the few places where that kind of honesty is safe. And the willingness to look at the actual atmosphere rather than performed one is the beginning of a shift, of a real shift. There is a body of well-documented research in psychology that maps closely what we're talking about here. It was researched and demonstrated that positive emotional states don't just feel good. They measurably broaden the scope of your attention and cognition. People in genuinely positive states notice more possibilities, think more flexible, make more creative connections, and build more durable psychological and social resources over time. The effect is not about intense positive emotion. It accumulates from mild, sustained, genuine positive inner states. The atmosphere, not the peak. The parallel negative finding is equally important. Chronic negative inner states, low-level anxiety, persistent low mood, sustained frustration. They narrow attention. People in these states notice fewer possibilities. default to habitual responses, and conform existing beliefs rather than updating them. Which means that you habitually experience as your inner atmosphere is shaping what you perceive as available in your life. The inner atmosphere changes the lens through which reality is seen, and the changed lens produces a genuinely different picture from the same environment. The inner atmosphere don't just feel different, it sees differently. It notices different things. It creates conditions from different experiences, not through mystery, but through the mechanism of attention, perception, and the responses those generate. There is also substantial research on the body awareness of its own internal states, showing that people with higher awareness demonstrate better emotional regulation than those with lower awareness, which means learning to feel the inner atmosphere honestly without judgment is itself a skill that makes changing it more possible. And that is what we're gonna do in the transmission today. You will learn to feel the interior more honestly, and then shifting it with attention and intention. What we're going into now requires one thing above anything else: honesty. The actual interior as it is right now, without editing it first. Because you can't shift what you won't feel, and you can't feel what you're decided in advance should be different. So I'm going to ask you to come into the transmission with whatever is actually there, the quality of the inner life exactly as it is today. And from there, we shift. Not by replacing it with something better, but by discovering what is underneath it. So take a moment to put yourself in the transmission position. Body settled. And let the eyes close. And just arrive. Just as you actually are right now. Let the body settle. Weight dropping, breath finding its own rhythm. And before anything else, I want you to feel something that requires honesty. What is the actual quality of the interior right now? Not what you want it to be, not what you're working toward, not the atmosphere of a good day or a meditation or a moment of clarity. The actual base note. the actual quality of being you right now on a normal day. Maybe it is a low hum of something unresolved. Maybe a quality of reaching toward something that isn't here yet. Maybe it's something heavier or something scattered, or something that has been there so long you stop noticing it as a quality at all. Whatever it is, let it be felt without judgment or immediately moving to fix it. Just felt. Where does it live in the body? Chest, belly, throat, somewhere else? Good. You have just done something that most people never do. You looked at the actual interior rather than the intended one. And from this honest seeing, something becomes possible that no amount of aspiring ever made possible. And now I want to offer you something. Not a better atmosphere placed on top of the current one. Something more honest than that. Underneath whatever quality you felt, whatever the bass note actually was, there is something else. Something that the atmosphere has been sitting on top of for a very long time. You've touched it before in the transmission across this series. The vast awareness of episode 1, the dreamer of episode 2, the free consciousness of episode 5. That is the actual ground, and it has a quality. Let yourself feel it now. Underneath whatever was there, beneath the bass note you identified, further down into the actual ground of awareness. What is the quality of this ground? Settled. A quality of okayness so fundamental it doesn't need to be maintained. a quality of being exactly where you are, without reaching, without managing, without the low-level hum of not yet. Notice what this quality feels like in the chest, in the belly. It has a different texture than the atmosphere sitting on top of it. It is clean, more spacious, less effort. This is the state that is already here, underneath everything you've been carrying. And now from this ground, I want you to feel what it would mean to let this quality rise. Let this settled quality become the atmosphere, the inner weather, the bass note that everything else sits within. Like changing the quality of light in a room, nothing moves, and at the same time, everything is different. Let it rise. Gently. The quality of groundedness spreading through the chest, through the belly, up through the throat, and everywhere else it needs to go. Just allow. And now I'm curious. What does it feel like to hold this quality without gripping it? Like a tuning fork that has found its frequency and simply sustains it. This is your natural atmosphere. The natural quality of consciousness that stopped mistaking the weather passing through it for the sky itself. Feel what it means to hold this, not as a meditation state, but as the quality of a normal day. The quality you bring into a room before you say a word. The interior from which your life is lived. And from this atmosphere, this settled, grounded, resonant interior, notice what shifts. What you're available for. What feels possible. Research and direct experience agree on this. A change in our atmosphere does not change your life by force. It changes what your attention finds available, what your perception registers as real, what your nervous system recognizes as resonant. And slowly, what resonates with the atmosphere arrives. Rest here, in the quality of the ground, in the settled atmosphere, in the inner weather that is no longer borrowed from whatever is happening outside. And in a moment, I will ask you to come back to the room and to begin to feel the room, the sounds, the breath, the body. Bring that quality back with you, not as something to maintain, as something to remember is always underneath. And go ahead and take a breath of someone who knows the difference between the weather and the sky. And when you're ready, open the eyes. We'll come back. Notice the quality of the interior right now compared to before we started. That difference, subtle as it might be, is a felt reference point. Your body now has a more honest sense of what it means to inhabit the actual ground rather than the atmospheric weather on top of it. 2 practices for this week. The first, the daily atmosphere check. Once a day, not in a formal meditation, in an ordinary moment, ask yourself, what is the actual base note of my interior right now? Feel it in the body and name it if you can. That honest seeing done consistently develops body awareness, which is what makes the shift possible. The second, the ground return. When the inner atmosphere becomes heavy, when the weather of difficulty or frustration or reaching settles in, don't fight it. Do what we did in the transmission. Drop underneath it. Find the ground quality, even for 30 seconds, and let that settled quality rise just slightly to hold the difficulty within a larger quality. Because the weather passes, the sky is always there. I asked before the transmission, what is the actual base note of your inner atmosphere? Now, I want to ask after. What did you find underneath in the transmission? Drop it in the comments. And share this episode with someone doing consciousness work who has never been asked to look at the actual atmosphere. That person is everywhere. Next week, Chapter 8. Read it before you come back. And until we meet again, be well.